You've been scrolling social media, seeing Teslas and Europe trips, wondering where the hell you actually stand in the American wealth game. Here's the problem: you're guessing. And guessing wrong about your economic class is how you stay stuck there. Most Americans are walking around with a completely false idea of where they fall on the wealth ladder. And that delusion is expensive. It's costing them decades of smart decisions because they're optimizing for the wrong damn tier. I'm Professor Chalkman, and today I'm pulling back the curtain on the real numbers that define rich, middle class, and broke in America. Fair warning, some of you are about to feel attacked, but you'll finally know where you stand. Let's get into it. Here's why this matters. When you don't know what economic class you're actually in, you make terrible financial decisions. You compare yourself to the wrong people. You set goals that don't make sense. You optimize your life for someone else's finish line. It's like training for a 5K when you're actually signed up for a marathon. The strategy is completely different. The Federal Reserve just released the most recent wealth data. And the numbers? They're wild. The median American household net worth hit $192,900 in 2022. That's a 37% jump from 2019, the biggest percentage increase since they started tracking this stuff in 1989. Sounds pretty good, right? Hold that thought. Because the average net worth? Over $1 million. $1.06 million, to be exact. You catching what just happened there? The median is $193,000. The average is over $1 million. The average is more than 5 times higher than the median. That's like saying half of all people are under 5 feet 6 inches. But the average height is 8 feet tall. It doesn't make sense. Unless you've got some extremely tall people absolutely obliterating the curve. And that's exactly what's happening with wealth in America. The top 1% of households hold almost 32% of all wealth in the United States. 1 out of every 100 families controls nearly 1/3 of everything valuable in this country. It's like 3 people showing up to a 100-person party and owning 1/3 of all the pizza, drinks, and everything else combined. This wealth concentration creates distinct economic tiers. Real financial boundaries that determine where you can live, what opportunities your kids get, and whether you're one bad month away from catastrophe. So let's break it down. Every class, bottom to top. The lower class, $0 to $16,900. Median net worth, about $6,000. $6,000. That's less than a decent used car. And for millions of Americans, that's their entire financial cushion. Now, net worth is a snapshot, not a sentence. A 22-year-old with student loans might have negative net worth, but they're not doomed. Someone recovering from medical debt might be here temporarily. Life happens, but here's what makes the lower class brutal. It's the economic physics that come with it. When you're in this tier, everything costs more. You can't buy in bulk to save money. You can't put down deposits for better rates. You don't qualify for good loans, if you can even get approved. And when emergencies hit, payday loans and credit cards at predatory rates, which just bury you deeper. It's expensive to be poor in America. That's not a platitude. That's math. You know what's messed up? The system punishes you for being broke. It charges you more for less. And the only way out is to somehow save money in an environment designed to extract every dollar you earn. Most people don't escape this tier by accident. They claw their way out. Lower middle class, $16,900 to $58,550. Median, around $61,000. Skilled workers, technicians, service professionals, people with steady jobs but limited upside. They might own modest homes, some retirement savings, maybe a small emergency fund. But here's the trap. They earn too much to qualify for government help, but not enough to feel secure. They're stuck in this weird no man's land where they have to be hyper-strategic with every dollar because there's zero margin for error. One bad car accident, one medical bill, one layoff, and they're back down a tier. True middle class, $58,550 to $169,420. Median net worth, $145,200. This is the American Dream tier. These folks own homes, have established retirement accounts, can afford modest vacations, and weather financial storms without drowning. This is what most people think they are, even when they're not. What unites them? They're not just surviving, but they're also not rich enough to stop thinking about money. They're in that sweet spot where discipline and smart planning can actually compound into real wealth over time. But here's where it gets juicy. Upper middle class, $500,000 to $2 million. Welcome to the land of the Henrys. High earners, not rich yet. Yes, that's a real term. Financial advisors use it with a straight face. Congratulations, sir. You're a Henry. Sounds like your uncle who still thinks flip phones are cutting edge. But this class is fascinating. These are doctors, lawyers, engineers. People pulling in $140,000 to $300,000 plus annually. Nice neighborhoods, maxed retirement accounts, good schools for their kids. And yet, many of them don't feel wealthy at all. Why? Lifestyle inflation. As their income climbed, so did their expenses. The modest apartment became a nice house. The reliable car became a luxury SUV. The occasional dinner out became a $200 date night twice a week. Before they knew it, they were earning 3 times what they made a decade ago, and somehow still living paycheck to paycheck. This is one of the most common financial traps in America. People think more income automatically means more wealth. But that's only true if you don't increase your spending at the same rate. The upper middle class can afford lifestyle upgrades, so they take them, and those upgrades feel like success. But they're actually the thing preventing them from becoming truly wealthy. I've seen this 1,000 times. Someone making $250,000 thinking they're rich until they realize they're still one bad year away from trouble. Now let's talk about actual wealth. Upper class, $2.65 million to $5.8 million. If you're here, you're wealthy. No question. At $2.65 million, you've got a nice house in an expensive area, luxury cars, travel, freedom, but you're probably still working. Still making decisions based on a budget, even if it's a big one. You're not, I don't look at prices rich. You're, I can afford most things, but I still calculate rich. The real separation happens when we crack the top 1%. To get into the top 1% of American households, you need at least $5.8 million in net worth. Some estimates put it closer to $10 million or $12 million. The number fluctuates because when people have hundreds of millions, market swings move their net worth more in a day than most people earn in a year. But here's what the top 1% means. Your money makes more money than most people earn at their jobs. Your investment returns alone could fund a comfortable middle-class lifestyle for multiple families. You're not just wealthy. You're wealthy enough that the rules of money are fundamentally different for you. And then there's the top 0.1%. Net worth, approximately $62 million. Business founders, inheritors of generational wealth, ultra-successful investors. They have access to opportunities regular wealthy people don't even know exist. Private equity, venture capital, hedge funds that require $10 million minimums just to get in the door. Here's what's wild. The difference between middle class and upper middle class, a few $100,000. The difference between upper class and top 1%, millions. The difference between top 1% and top 0.1%, tens of millions. The ladder doesn't just climb, it explodes. And this creates a bizarre psychological effect where even wealthy people feel broke when they compare themselves to people above them. Someone with $5 million feels rich until they spend a weekend around people with $50 million. Then suddenly they feel like they're struggling. It's all perspective. It's all social comparison. But here's the thing that changes everything about these numbers. Location. What makes you upper class in Jackson, Tennessee might only get you to middle class in San Francisco. In Connecticut, you need to earn over $1 million annually just to crack the top 1% of earners in that state. In West Virginia, the threshold is $416,000. That's more than a 2x difference. Someone with a $2 million net worth can live like royalty in a small Midwest town. Massive house, luxury cars, access to anything they want. That same $2 million in Manhattan, you've got a modest apartment and a comfortable, but not extravagant, lifestyle. Some people spend their whole careers chasing higher salaries in expensive cities, not realizing they'd have a better quality of life earning less in a lower-cost area. Understanding this is critical for making smart financial decisions. So where does this leave you? Whether you're celebrating right now or having a full-blown existential crisis, the most important thing to understand is this. These categories aren't life sentences. People move between wealth tiers all the time, and the direction they move is usually more in their control than they think. The difference between staying stuck versus climbing, understanding the difference between looking wealthy and being wealthy. Social media has turned everyone into wealth performers. People finance luxury cars they can't afford, They buy houses that stretch their budgets to the breaking point. They rack up debt-funding lifestyles that look impressive, but actually prevent them from building real wealth. Meanwhile, genuinely wealthy people? They drive modest cars. They live in reasonable houses. Warren Buffett still lives in the same house he bought in 1958 for $31,500. The guy's worth over $100 billion, and he could buy a different mansion every single day and not notice. The point isn't that you should live like Buffett. The point is this: wealthy people understand opportunity cost. When they buy something expensive, they're not asking, "Can I afford the payment?" They're asking, "What could this money become if I invested it instead?" That shift in thinking? That's the difference. Now for your homework. And this one's going to sting a little. I want you to calculate your actual net worth right now. Not what you think it is. Not what you hope it is. The real number. Add up everything you own. Subtract everything you owe. Then come back to this video and drop a comment with which class you're actually in, not the one you thought you were in before watching this. Bonus points if you admit you were wrong about where you stood. This isn't about shame. It's about clarity. You can't build a plan to get somewhere if you're lying to yourself about where you're starting. Do the math. Face the number. Then decide where you want to go next. You now know the real numbers that define American wealth, from $6,000 to $62 million and beyond. Whether you're celebrating or panicking, remember this: the wealthy didn't get there by accident, and neither will you. This is Professor Chalkman. Class dismissed.